Hello, Steve White, Steve RC9. Well, I had to comment on Jessie Gender's latest video. I don't know if they're just doing the standard studio procedure of, well, people are attacking Section 31 because it's so awful, so we now have to paint all Star Trek fans as racist and violent and aggressive, and now there's stories of supposedly, allegedly, death threats being made to Alex KurtZman. Now, I don't condone that, but at the same time, I understand how people would be upset, because he essentially has been killing something that they love and has given them hope and a future. And a lot of people have a belief in Star Trek's future almost like a religion. And to take something that precious to people and destroy it in front of them is traumatic. So I can understand people being upset. I'm not condoning what they may have done if anyone literally threatened him. But I don't have a lot of empathy either, because it's sort of become clear through comments from actors and so forth that his idea of Star Trek is warped. He thinks Star Trek just didn't work, and the only way to fix it was to change it into something generic so it would appeal to a generic audience. And he's deliberately been stripping everything that made it Star Trek right up into Section 31, which he saw as his ultimate destruction of Star Trek, by making it just totally generic dystopian science fiction that doesn't even have Starfleet in it. It's outside of the Federation, and it's just a science fiction show that he thought would have mass appeal with the Star Trek brand name on it. That's really all he wanted. So how she can defend him, I don't understand. How she can attack Gene Roddenberry and Michael Piller and Rick Berman and all these people who created great Star Trek and kept it alive for decades and made it really amazing and brought a whole generation of people in, just because she doesn't like them personally, because she seems to think she knows personal stories about their lives, and because KurtZman seems like just a wonderful, progressive, woke person to her. And woke's not a bad thing, I'm just saying that's the type of person he seems to be and what he promotes, that she thinks he's great, and she's defending him, even though he has destroyed the Star Trek that she loved. And what also baffles me about her, because I've been sort of interested in her since the beginning, because most of the Star Trek YouTubers were straight white men, and a lot of them were negative, a lot of them were MAGA and conservative, and they're just attacking Star Trek because of racism and bigotry, like the stereotypical toxic male fan. Even though some of them had knowledge about Star Trek, and some of them did actually care about real issues with Star Trek, for the most part they were just using that or for the pop culture war agenda, or they just were totally pushing that. Essentially they were using Star Trek. But I mean, she had a similar experience to me, where she was saved from depression by Star Trek. She, because of her trans issues, me because of my gay issues, it literally saved my life, and it literally saved her life. It means a lot to us. But how she can still misperceive it and not see the value of it as a whole. She only sees value in the parts that she could read as trans. The characters like Jadzia Dax, who was not trans, but she reads as trans. And, of course, she finally got a trans character in Discovery. So she thinks it's the greatest Star Trek ever, because it's about her. So she doesn't get Star Trek. She's totally narcissistic, which I believe a lot of gay and trans people are, because of the nature of having to identify and defend your identity and being so isolated, it becomes all about you. And some individuals, I'm not talking about the gay community, but some individuals become very narcissistic, partly out of survival. But it's just one of the problems that she has, and she has this tiny little world. And she just did a video where she said, basically, people are threatening KurtZman, they're threatening my Star Trek I love, and I feel really threatened by the government and what's happening. So I can't have people in my space anymore that don't think exactly like me. And she's basically she's becoming the fascist that she hates. And she's saying, well, if you don't exactly think what I think, exactly like what I like, exactly how I like it, then you're not welcome here. And I'm like, wow, you've just lost the battle and become your enemy. And it's one of the saddest things I've seen for a while. But she did a whole video, and I'm like, wow, hopefully, apparently she's having problems in her own personal life with her, I'm guessing her fiance's partner isn't accepting her because she's trans, but she can go into it, but she's going through some issues. So of course she projects that onto Star Trek and takes it out on her her following and her platform and whatever, or her critics. And some of them just hate her for being trans and shouldn't be there, yeah. But others are like me, who are critical because they can look at her objectively and see her issues and see how she's misreading Star Trek because of her own issues. And I think we should be able to point that out to her and talk about that. And that should be a discussion, not a dictatorship where it's like, no, only this, only that, cannot talk about this, you're gone. So I put a couple of comments that'll probably be deleted, and I'm making this video, which you'll never see. But I just found it fascinating that some Star Trek fans, I just did a video about Robert Kaczynski and how much he misreads Star Trek as MAGA, and then you have people like Jessie Gender who misread it as totally woke about representation, not just something that features it and shows it as something that happened in the future and is just the norm, but they make it all about that because it's about them. So I had to sort of do the opposite side of the coin. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of Jessie.